Have you ever sat down with a major deadline looming and somehow found yourself spending 45 minutes scrolling through random posts instead? Society often frames this behavior as a symptom of laziness or a basic failure of character. Yet in these moments, we are usually very aware of the deadline. We are making a conscious choice to engage in a behavior we know will sabotage our own goals. This suggests that procrastination is less about our ability to manage time and more about an instinctual drive to escape immediate emotional discomfort. To solve procrastination, we have to stop treating it as a scheduling error. Instead, we need to decode how the brain regulates and avoids that discomfort. We can see why the brain makes these choices by looking at this line graph, which illustrates an evolutionary mismatch called temporal discounting. It compares two curves, a spike for a quick, immediate reward versus a slow, gradual build for a delayed reward. That spike represents present you. This is the primitive entity in your brain that demands immediate comfort, and it holds the actual control over your behavior in the moment. Then there is future you. As this delayed reward curve struggles to build, it gets outpaced by a rising metric of stress and consequence. Future you is left to deal with the unfinished work and the impending deadline. As long as present you controls your immediate environment, your brain will often sacrifice future success for a momentary hit of relief. The process begins the moment a task is perceived as confusing or stressful. Your brain sounds an internal alarm and looks for an escape route. This chart maps the avoidance cycle. A difficult task flows directly into emotional discomfort. Checking a device provides an artificial dopamine reward, diverging to a distraction and temporary relief. But relief fades. The delayed task creates compounding anxiety, feeding aggressively back into avoidance. Your brain actually learns from this cycle. It trains itself that avoiding work is the most effective way to feel better in the short term. The irony is that the tool you use to escape your stress has now become the engine generating it. This map shows how we typically view productivity, waiting for motivation to trigger take action. But the brain rarely generates motivation for uncomfortable tasks. The spark fizzles out. In reality, taking physical action is the biological trigger that produces motivation, not the reverse. Waiting until you feel ready is a cognitive trap. Initiating action is the only reliable way to generate the drive to finish. To initiate that action, you can use a mechanical tool called friction. By physically separating yourself from your phone and closing unnecessary browser tabs, you introduce friction that starves the distraction node of its fuel. You can also remove friction from the work itself using the 2-minute start. Promise yourself you will only work for 2 minutes. This lowers the barrier to entry, so your brain doesn't trigger a panic response. From there, the required mental shift is simple. Stop asking, "Do I feel like doing this?" and instead ask, "What is the next small action I can take?" Breaking the loop requires learning to tolerate a brief moment of discomfort, proving the hardest part of any task is simply choosing to begin.